that I do lots of different things, I have one particular passion. I'm a bird watcher. As a bird watcher, I go all over the world to try to see as many species of birds as possible. And I still remember the day, like in the mid 90s, that I went to Peru and I had to take out of the bag underwear and clothes to make room for all the bird books. And that was actually the motivation for me to write the field guide to the birds of Peru. Now I have here, I think I have like 8 field guides. Some of them are pretty crappy. Some of them are very good, but not perfect. I think it will be a very interesting challenge to make the perfect platform for a field guide, and I'm pretty sure that once you create something like this, other field guides that are in the process of migrating from a paper form to a digital app. So, how many of you worked in app development? Very good. That's a fair number. Okay, we count you too.
I know.
So, let me first, before we do anything, we'll take off my jacket. I'll put it here on the chair. And I'm sorry I'm dressed so we went to an official meeting. And so let's kind of understand how books first migrated from a paper to an app. So all of you know that first there were like the PDFs. So it was practically it was shifting or scanning the image and putting it in an ebook. For the birdwatcher, there is any way that I can connect the phone to a screen?
Yes, of course.
So after we went through a PDF form, which you know search is not easy, and it didn't give you much use in the field, because in the field you see a bird, you want to identify it real quick, you don't have time to start scrolling around many pages trying to figure out where it is. So this is, I guess, me. Wonderful. So now we can go. And then we start looking at some kind of application. So we can make it bigger?
I don't think so.
Okay. So this is a very, very basic. This is the birds of India. And of course India is a large country and has lots of birds. So let's see what it gives us. So we start looking for a bird, and let's see kind of just one common bird, the gray francolin. So basically it's a translation of the book into an app. As you can see, I'm trying to scroll, it's not very easy, and here there is a range map. So this is a really common bird, and you can see that but pretty much everything else, I don't have any other features. So this is an old and not very useful application. However, it's much better than carrying 1.5 kilo in your pocket, your backpack and stuff like this, and it gets wet often and usually chewed in the corners, etc., etc. So let's get rid of this one and go to the next one. Recently, some organization developed kind of a field guide for birds of Africa that per country, and this is one of them. and you'll see right away it takes hell of time to load. Also, to load the application itself is about 4 or 5 hours, and we have here some barbets, so we can open this page, and this is a photo of the bird. This is another one. I like that particular bird, and I can have like text about it. I can have a map. No, I can have a map. No, this is. So it's a very. It's a nice attempt, but it's not working very well. Very complicated thing. So let's get rid of this one as well. Okay. So this is one. That is a little bit more advanced. This is the birds of East Africa, and we'll go into, let's say, some birds. This is a rare bird from central Tanzania, and here we have also range map. We have text, and we have sounds. So I can have the sound of the bird embedded in the app, which is a great feature because a lot of the bird watching is done by hearing the bird first, trying to find it. So this is a. However, this is the group of sunbirds. As you can see, there are lots of them. And if I'll take another group, and I will show, those are weavers, and you will see that many of them are very similar to each other. And it's getting worse and worse as it moves. Oh, no, this is the first one. So those are very similar to each other, and very often I need to look at one page and try to remember which color eye this one. So I would like to see actually the few species together and compare species. So this app does not have that particular feature. One of the newest apps, actually a few months old, and this one also has the song. There's actually a selection of few. It has another one, interaction code. But this one has a feature, another feature, that it's actually embedded actual photos and not just illustration. So here there is an adult male, there is an adult female, there is a juvenile, a young bird, and so this is a very nice feature because sometimes it gives you another take, another view of what it can do. And also this one has a range map. So this is the birds of southern Africa. But there are no other, and a few other features here, very interesting, because for example, I can write where I've seen the bird, and that will register the location, the GPS point, and many other notes that I want to take, and the time, date, comments, etc., etc. All those features are very nice, and one of the great things about an app is I wrote the birds of Peru and it was printed. By the day I printed it, a week later somebody discovered something new, and I had to create an addenda, and few weeks later somebody else discovered something else new, so I had to send an addenda, a loose page inside the book, to make up for the updates. And the world is very dynamic, and we constantly have new things happening. And in an app you can sell, or you can provide a subscription, so you can update the app fairly easily all the time. So most of those books were created first as a paper book, and there is still lots of joy flipping through a book when you are laying down in your bed and you go through and drooling over all the birds that you haven't seen. But in the field, that's much lighter. So, but it's still not very user-friendly. So, especially because if you will see lots of birds that are very, very similar to each other. And it's very, very difficult to work the differences, and your mind cannot remember so many things together. So if you can put few in the same page, even a smaller version, you can easily say, oh, this one has a little bit beak, a little bit thicker, this one has a yellow spot on the tail, and this one doesn't, and sometimes there are 5 or 6 that are almost identical. So there are lots of differences between a printed book to an app, and there are lots of advantages for each format. But I think that the practicality, maybe the sound of those phones that we went like this and we held was better sound. Yes, it was a better sound. But it became obsolete because it wasn't practical. So the same thing, books are not selling anymore, apps sell like crazy. So I don't know if anybody is interested in developing an app for something like this. It can be a nice project. It can be, if you develop the platform correctly, that other people will approach you and they'll say, hey, we would like to have our book as an app. So the Birds of Europe sold already over 1 million copies. Yeah? So it can be big. So those are the things that I can tell you right now. And if you guys want to have questions or discuss about things, let's do it.
So we had some students who were considering this as a course project, and I think they are still here. If you guys have any questions.
I will tell you 2 things that right now I'm actually writing the first book for the birds of Angola. So Angola and Ethiopia has very similar number of birds, and all those, and we will do only photographic because we don't have the images. However, happened to be that the birds of the Horn of Africa, and you are part of the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia is the largest piece of the Horn of Africa, I know the author and the publisher, and I was thinking if we can get from him the rights and to have it done in bilingual, Amharic and English, that will be also an environmental education tool that will be very powerful. So this is something that can happen. It will take some time, but The guy is a very cheap guy, but never mind. An English guy.
And Noam, I have a question. So,
Sure.
as a person who has a lot of experience in tourism, and also you know a lot about birds and birds in Ethiopia. So, do you think that bird watching can be something big in the future for Ethiopia? Like one of the reasons why people would visit here?
Yeah, definitely. But it's not only for that it will bring a few tens of thousands of people to Ethiopia, because practically I'm pretty sure that a place like Lalibela or Aksum has a capacity to bring more people. But for a place like Negele, who knows Negele? Anybody? Yebello. There is almost nobody that shows up except for birdwatchers there. So it can be maybe not in the number of tourists, it may be not so important, but it can bring development for places that right now have no other opportunity. So it's a very important tool for decentralized tourism. Any questions? Anybody is interested in something like this, in doing something like this? Sure.
Maybe a silly question, or maybe I might take it out of context, but you mentioned that you would like to see maybe different species together, compare them. Some have different characteristics, some have the same characteristics. Is this type of app applicable to some other domains?
There are lots of fields in natural history where people go, and there is a similar one for a mammal. And there are now some apps for butterflies and dragonflies. Yeah, they somehow have no idea how, but dragonflies became popular, and butterflies are already quite a few years became popular, but nothing as big as birdwatchers. Yeah, the birdwatching is huge. Pretty much in Europe, in Asia, in North America.
And Noam, I have a question. So, can this project wait a few more months, or do you think it's urgent?
Yeah, it's even at the Birds of Angola, we are going to do something that is very innovative. We are not going to print it. We are going to give it to Amazon to do print to order. So we are just giving them the old PDF files, but of course it will not have the sounds. And that's basically. But it will be very nice to have it as a side thing, like to have it as an app. But I really think that the one very interesting thing is to develop an app for Ethiopia, since you all guys are from Ethiopia. And at some point in the next few weeks, I'll try to contact the author and the publisher of the Birds of the Horn of Africa. So, anybody knows what's considered the Horn of Africa? Which countries are in the Horn of Africa? Which one?
Somalia, Ethiopia, Kenya.
No, Kenya is not.
Okay,
And another one?
Sudan.
No. Djibouti.
I have a different question about the app.
Yeah.
So you said you wanted to have all the similar birds in order to compare them.
Yeah.
But when you look at it as having those images together, maybe it could be 20 birds together.
It will be usually up to 6 birds. Usually that's so. There is another app. Let me see. There is another app that does it. I think it's this one. Birds of Australia. And so here they do have the. Let's see the scrubber, and you see. you see a lot of birds in the same page together, and this is basically, and they also have here you can do compare species. I don't remember how you do it. I think it was this. But you can do compare species, and you can put, you decide which species you want to see. You're not sure it's this one or this one or this one. So you put the three together and you can see them together.
Yeah, so my question is, what other features do you have other than the image? Just the image might not be enough, so we need some specific features like, say, you mentioned a yellow
So
ball.
every book, every field guide in the world has two things. There is a text that right now I'm writing the text for the birds of Angola. There is a text and there is an image. So the text usually will have a basic format. Size of the name of the bird in English and in a scientific name. Pretty much all the other languages, including Turkish, Amharic, Hebrew, Spanish, whatever, they never managed to come up with one list that is official. Each one say no, I call it yellow this, and I call it the police wanderer. Each one has many different names that people use, and nobody managed to come to an agreement. And but the English name is one name, 99% of the times. And it has a text, the name, the size, some kind of description, the difference, how it looks like. So, for example, if I will put, let's say, very obvious. So, for example, if I have this page, and I will open the bird page, I will see the crimson rosella, a very lovely bird from Southeast Australia, and it has the image of the bird, it has text, it has in the text, it has similar species, and it has like here that there is more information about the races, that sometimes it's available.